going to be doing two different topics. I'm going to be reviewing the tortilla press that I received in the mail, and I'm going to be making fresh homemade organic tortillas, and we're also going to be demonstrating how to use the press as well as the recipe for the tortillas. So you're not going to want to miss this recipe. Let's get started. Okay everyone, we're going to be making some fresh organic tortillas, and this is a basic recipe. There are thousands of videos on making fresh tortillas on YouTube, but none of them call for organic ingredients, so I'm going to make a video using the organic ingredients. What I've got, you can find this recipe on potspansandpioneers.com. There's no spam, we don't grab your email, but I'll call out the ingredients, and then if you want to print the recipe you can go there. This is 3 cups of organic all-purpose flour. There is 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. There is 2 teaspoons of, I've got this organic baking powder, and the reason you want to use organic baking powder is because it's aluminum free. Most of the baking powder that you see in the regular big box stores are going to have aluminum, and you don't want to be putting metals in your body, so very important to always try to buy aluminum free baking powder. And then I've got a 1/4 cup of lard. I'm using lard, but you could use shortening. I would not recommend using real butter, because the traditional way of making, fresh tortillas is with pork fat. And so rendered down lard that's been chilled, and I buy it in the buckets at the organic store, but this is just 3/4 of a cup of lard. So what we're going to do is we're going to create like a biscuit dough, and if you've ever made biscuits, then you know that you're going to mix your dough to where it crumbles first before you add your wet ingredients. I need to add another teaspoon of salt to my flour. Okay, so we're just going to pour this into the bowl, and like I said, you're just going to use, do this like a biscuit dough. So we're going to get this to be a crumbly mixture where it's just crumbs. It reminds me of making my homemade version of Bisquick. So if you are interested in learning about how to make your own Bisquick, leave me a comment down below and I'll send you the recipe for that directly. Happy to do that. There are some other people that put out those recipes. I always have my own take on other people's recipes, and I always try them, and if they don't work for me, then I tweak them. So we're just going to make sure this is all crumbly. This will make between 10 and 12 8-inch tortillas. And you can freeze tortillas if you want to. I think they're more crumbly if you freeze them, but you can do that if you want to. But these will last in the refrigerator for, a week. I always leave the dough in the ball so I can always have fresh ones on hand. The dough will actually, if you ball it up, will last about 3 days in the refrigerator. So if you like tortillas with eggs in the morning, or you just like quesadillas, or I learned to make homemade tortillas from my mother-in-law. My first husband, his mother, she taught me most all of the Mexican dishes that I know, and I'm going to do some videos to share those with you, just so I can document them for my children, and if they ever want to know how she made something since she has gone on to be with the Lord, that they'll be able to look it up and be able to make it on their own. Okay, so you can see this is real crumbly, and it's almost, you know, like a biscuit consistency. And I'm just using a fork. You could use a pastry cutter if you have one. I have one, but I'd have to dig for it since I have so many gadgets. Okay, so then I'm going to pour in 3/4 of a cup of warm water. And you don't want this to be boiling water. You just want it to be warm water. If it's too hot, it's not gonna work very well at all. So let me get 3/4 of a cup of warm water. I just heated in my electric kettle. You could, yeah, see, I'll be able to stick my finger in it. It's not super hot. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour the water, 3/4 of a cup. You may need to add a little bit more water depending, you know, again, anytime you're baking, the state of humidity in your area has everything to do with the outcome of your baking or cooking, just because you're dealing with science and exact ingredients. So, all right, I'm going to start drizzling this over, and we're going to be making some dough in a ball. And this dough is going to be like a biscuit dough, so it's going to be, you know, sticky. And probably the only person you'll ever see with a fork trying to make biscuit dough, but everybody does, you know, their dough making very different. That's just the way I do it. So I'll go ahead and use my hands. And this is going to be, you know, relatively sticky. You're going to get it all over yourself. But what you're wanting to do is you want to mix all of your flour together, making sure that, you know, it's really getting incorporated. And I can see that I need a little bit of water. So I'm going to, my hands were clean. A little bit more water. And let's just see where that takes us. I miss my mother-in-law. She and I had, we became such good friends, and she died a few years ago, but I always had the highest regard and respect for her, and she was a very good friend, and she always loved to teach whatever it was that she knew how to do. And I liked her the most because she treated me like I was her daughter. So every time I get in the kitchen and I start making anything that she taught me to make, I really miss her. Okay, so you can see this dough is really, really good. And what we're going to do is we're going to let this, you know, rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm going to clean up my mess while I'm doing that. And we will be back and we will roll out the dough and we'll try my tortilla press that came in the mail for Mother's Day for me. I'll be right back. Okay everyone, we're back and I'm going to roll out the tortillas, and our dough has been resting for 15 minutes. And what we'll do is we'll spread out our flour. And we'll just give it an old toss over in the flour. you're not going to want to knead this a lot, because you're going to want to make sure that you know, this is a fully rested dough, and kneading it would just cause you to, you know, to rest it again. Now what I like to do is, when I make my tortillas, is I make them a little bit bigger than a golf ball. So you don't want them to be, you know, super thin, and you don't want them to be super thick. So I'm going to roll them into a little bit bigger than a golf ball. So, and you could cut this, you know, divide it up, but I just do it the way I was taught how to do it, and that's just grab it like a biscuit and roll it and set it aside. This should make about, you know, 10 to 12 tortillas, depending on the size that you know, you either have a tortilla press that is a 10-inch, and I think there's a 10 and an 8 and a 12 for burritos, but it just depends on, you know, how you like. It's all preference, how you like them. So I'm just going to get them all rolled up here. This one's a little small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, and we'll do 12. Okay, I'm going to get my griddle, my skillet. I have a cast iron tortilla griddle. I'm going to get it heated up, and I'll get the camera positioned over by the tortilla press, and we'll give that a go. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and I've got my tortilla press here that I received for Mother's Day, and I'm going to try it for the very first time. Now the directions say that you're supposed to put wax paper. I don't have wax paper, I have freezer paper, so I'm going to try it with freezer paper. So I'm going to, it says to set the tortilla in the middle of the press, and I'm going to make sure that the shiny waxy side is on the other side, because we don't want this to stick. So we're going to lay this down, and we're going to press. Perfect. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to, okay, we've got it on the grill, and I get some tongs here. We've got this on a iron skillet that I've had for years. I call it a tortilla skillet because it's so perfect for, you know, tortillas. And I've got it on like a medium low heat because we don't want to burn the tortilla, we just want to, you know, cook it. So homemade tortillas, and especially organic ones, are so really good for, you know, enchiladas or burritos or tacos. You know, there's a theory here in Texas that, you know, there's like 4 ingredients for any sort of Tex-Mex food. You just change the way that you prepare it. So tortillas are very, very much of a staple. When you run out of bread, you know, and you don't have yeast, you can always make tortillas. So my family eats an enormous amount of corn tortillas and flour tortillas. These are flour tortillas. I'll do another video on the corn tortillas. They're less fattening, and you know, they go with a lot more things. And if you're vegetarian, you could certainly make this recipe with, you know, organic ingredients, and then don't use the lard. Use a vegetarian shortening, a vegetable oil shortening, or something like that. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and press a few more, and I'll move the camera over so you can watch me do a couple of more, and then I'm going to save the rest of these for my taco night. It's Friday night here, and we're doing taco night, so we'll be back. Okay, we are grilling tortillas. These are just perfect. I mean, they make, you know, they fold over really easy without cracking. They're just a beautiful tortilla. I love this recipe. And I put all of the, you know, tortilla dough in a Ziploc bag, and you can store these up to 3 days in your refrigerator. And you just bring them out as you use. That way you'll always have fresh tortillas. Now this one I can tell is a little bit thicker. It had a lot more dough in it. So the recipe is really, really good. You could just put butter and sugar on this, and it would be really yummy. I'm going to try a bite because I just can't stand it. Yum. These are so good. You gotta try this recipe. It's so easy. And if you ever get in a jam and you're out of bread, I'm telling you, this you can easily make. Very, very, very easily make great quesadillas. And you know, tortillas don't have to be perfect. We always know when they're perfectly round with no flaws that they're not homemade. So it's really, you know, it's really not necessary for, you know, you to worry about having it just to be perfectly round. But these are really, really, really yummy. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can find the recipe at potspansandpioneers.com. Please leave a comment if you make the recipe at the bottom, or if you have any questions. I'm very responsive to all the comments, so enjoy. And I'll be posting more Mexican recipes in the next few days. Everybody have a wonderful Mother's Day. I love my tortilla press. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Thanks, everyone.